And polling is underway for the Australian general election since morning, as opinion polls suggest that Labour Prime Minister Anthony Albanese could get a lead over Conservative challenger Peter Dutton. Voters in bathing suits were seen casting their ballots at Sydney's Bondi Beach. A record 8 million out of 18 million eligible voters had already cast ballots before Saturday. Albanese, who leads the centre-left Labour Party, voted in his electorate in Sydney's inner west. Earlier, he visited the eastern states of Queensland, Victoria and Tasmania on Friday. While Peter Dutton, who leads an alliance of conservative parties called Liberal National Coalition, also voted in the country's national election in Brisbane along with his family. Taking a shot at the Labour government, Dutton said that Australians were experiencing a bad government.
At the election booth. So I'm confident that Australians have seen through a bad government, and I'm confident that Australians can't afford 3 more years of what they've experienced. And there are a lot of families who are really doing it very tough at the moment, and Australians can't afford 3 more years of Labor. And our positive plan.
Well, both major parties have focused on cost of living pressures, but opinion polls show that global uncertainty driven by Trump's stop and start tariffs rapidly became a top issue for voters during the campaign. Labour has accused the Conservative coalition of mimicking US President Donald Trump by promising to slash more than 1 in 5 federal public sector jobs.
I think Labor will get a majority, and I think Australians, because of the compulsory voting, because of that tendency to vote towards the centre, will mean that Dutton and his attempt to appeal to the centre right and the further right, by using these kind of Trumpian dog whistle policies, is going to fail.
Many who don't have a strong preference still turned out to vote in order to avoid a fine, often not picking a candidate until election day. Now, Dutton is confident that undecided voters would back his coalition. Both campaigns are focused on Australia's changing demographics by promising policy changes, including helping the first home buyers buy into a property market that is too expensive for many. Another point of difference is energy. The opposition has promised to build 7 government-funded nuclear power plants across Australia that would begin generating electricity from 2035. Labour plans to have 82% of Australia's energy grid powered by renewables, including solar and wind turbines by 2030, and to rely less on gas. The party has warned that Dutton's coalition could make massive cuts to services to pay for its nuclear ambitions. Now, this is the first election in Australia in which people born between the end of World War II and 1964 are outnumbered by younger voters. The growing disenchantment among voters has also emboldened independents, pushing for greater transparency and climate progress. Well, there are many points of contention between the two major parties, one being energy. The opposition has promised to build 7 government-funded nuclear power plants across Australia that would begin generating electricity from 2035. Well, Labour plans to have 82% of Australia's energy grid powered by renewables, which could include solar and wind turbines by no earlier than 2030. Well, it's also important to note that both campaigns are focused on Australia's changing demographics by promising policy changes, including helping first-time home buyers to buy into the property market that is considered to be too expensive for many, along with the other point being climate-focused changes. And many who don't have a strong preference still have turned out to vote, which is in order to avoid a fine, which happens if you're not picking a candidate until the election day. Now, Dutton, it's important to note, is confident that undecided voters would back his coalition. From what we've seen, both major parties have focused on cost of living pressures, but opinion polls show that global uncertainty, which is largely driven by Trump's stop-start tariffs, has rapidly become a top issue for voters during the campaign. Labour has accused the Conservative coalition of mimicking US President Donald Trump by promising to slash more than 1 in 5 federal sector public jobs. And we've also seen that Peter Dutton, who leads an alliance of conservative parties called the Liberal National Coalition, is also voted in the country's national election in Brisbane along with his family. He also took a shot at the Labour government. Dutton said that Australians were experiencing a bad government. And for more on this, joining us live is our correspondent Dasini Adhoda, who's joining us from Melbourne. Dasini, what can you tell us? What is the situation like on ground right now?
Well, here in Melbourne, there's just about 15 more minutes to go before polls close here in Melbourne. But electoral officials have also confirmed that for those who are still standing in line, they will be allowed to cast their vote even after that 6 p.m. mark, purely because when we spoke to a few voters earlier on today, they did that some of them were in line for as long as 2 hours. So there certainly seems to be a keen urgency to exercise one's right to vote here in Melbourne and across Australia, especially given the fact that voting is mandatory here in the country. So also, election officials are quite confident that by around the 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. mark in local time here, they will be quite confident in releasing who has secured a majority here in Australia.
Right, Dasini, thank you so much for bringing us that latest report.